Hello, everybody. Today is February 27th, 2014. It is Season 2, Episode number 9. Let's go ahead and get this show started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Thomas, and joining me tonight we have...
Bobby, how you doing?
Brendan, a.k.a. Caden.
All right, guys. Well, we have a couple topics to talk about. Tonight probably will be a shorter show. There's a lot going on, but we want to kind of focus more on the news for this episode, just because really, right now, there's really not even that much to speculate about. Starting off, the Hangar patch got released with some exciting new features. Brandon, why don't you tell us what's going on?
Well, one of the stretch goals announced at the 12 million mark that they said that they were going to implement was going to be the Oculus Rift, and that has now been brought into the Hangar. There is a lot of known issues, and they do have patch notes on the site for people to know exactly what the problems are that they're going to be having, but they want to hear your feedback, and it's pretty good to see new features getting in.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know what Oculus Rift is, basically Oculus Rift is the premier, and it's still pretty much in the development stage, but the premier VR platform. You get the full stereoscopic 3D view, 110 degree field of view. It is one of the most successful Kickstarters in history.
It is the future of gaming.
Yeah, depending upon who you ask, it is most definitely the future of gaming. For more information, just in general, about the Oculus Rift, if you're interested, that website is oculusvr.com. And it's definitely worth checking out. The price point on it, it's still in the development stage, is really affordable and reasonable. As far as that goes, we've seen devices like this in the past cost way, way, way more. The price point's around $300 US, which is, I mean, that's the cost of a good high-end monitor. So to be able to have head tracking and full stereoscopic 3D vision at extreme low latencies for that price point, at this point in time, now it's still in development, so the prices may change as the consumer version comes out, but that's a great deal.
Yeah,
so,
I'm thinking for what that is and for what it does, I don't want to say cheap, but that is very affordable for everything that it offers.
Yeah, most definitely. I did have mine is on order. It shipped today, so hopefully in one of our future episodes after our upcoming break, I'll be able to give you some kind of first-hand experience as far as what it's like in the Hangar. I was hoping it'd be in by the time we recorded, but just, going to take a couple extra days for it to get through shipping. But I'm definitely excited to see how all that works. And, of course, like Caden said, it's a little bit buggy and it's got some issues now. I think in Wingman's Hangar they were talking about how, you may be looking in one direction and running in the other, but eventually they're going to get all that sorted out. So it's definitely going to be fun.
Now I have a question.
Yeah,
when
sure.
you're wearing the Oculus, let's say because I haven't seen it and I haven't seen it in the Hangar module yet. So when you're running forward, like you're holding down W on your keyboard, and you turn your head, do you actually turn your run, or do you just look left? Right now, as it is.
You just look left, that's how it's supposed to be.
So my question is, if I hold down W and I stand up and turn around, is the character's head going to go all the way around like horror movie style, or is there like a limit to how far it turns?
I'm going to say that there's a limit, and I think that's...
I want to see some of that crazy, head spinning action going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna be comfortable enough saying that there's probably a limit to how well this is gonna translate over. One of the cool things about it is because it does have the gyroscopic tracking in it, and this is kind of unrelated to the game. There are games that is your control medium, is that headset. There's like a skydiving game that I saw, or a tech demo where they're skydiving and then they're using the facial tracking gyroscopic technologies of motionness to actually use control of your character. And I think that's pretty awesome. And just outside of the gaming, outside of this particular project, the Star Citizen project, I think it'll be unique to see. But when we're in our cockpits, I think that that's going to be really where we'll see the benefit of it. I mean, Chris Roberts had in some of his previous games the ability to pilot your ship in one direction and look out of a window, right or left. And I personally have never found that enjoyable in any game that I've ever played. Battlefield does it now, and it's done it for a while. But in Battlefield, being able to look around in your cockpit, it's the controls for that don't. Maybe it's just the way my brain's wired. It doesn't really seem to work right, because if I'm looking in a certain direction and flying my ship or my aircraft, it feels like it's wonky. It doesn't translate well. But I think with the Rift on, it would be far more. It'd be like driving a car essentially. You look right, you look left while you're driving, and you're doing fine.
Yeah, the intuitiveness of the Oculus Rift to be able to move freely without being locked into where certain monitor is stationed, that's going to give people a different kind of freedom. And I think that's where you nailed it on the head, was that mobility, that free range.
Yeah, so I logged in and I was in my freelancer cockpit, and I was looking at it, and I sat down, in the driver's seat or whatever, and I was looking around, and in that particular ship, I couldn't really see myself using an Oculus, because you've only got that one strip of visibility out the front window. Now, in like the Aurora or another like a lighter fighter type of ship where you have a lot more glass, a lot more visibility, it would be really freaking awesome. But if you're doing a cargo run, I don't know how much immersiveness an Oculus is going to add.
I've always been a big proponent of 3D gaming and the biggest advocate against 3D movies. And I think 3D gaming it's a far more dynamic experience, and you're in control of it, whereas with a 3D film, you're just a passenger and you really don't have that control. And I have tried pretty much all of the major technologies. I was going to try to pull out all the different lenses that I have, but I have the passive 3D display with glasses, kind of like you would have at the theater, the cinema glasses that aren't active shutter. I've used NVIDIA's. I have actually on my tertiary monitor the NVIDIA 3D Vision. I had the Gen 1 and now the Gen 2, and that experience is far more engaging in games where precision isn't necessarily required. Like an MMO experience, 3D's great. Trying it in Battlefield, I've never had a lot of luck with, because it doesn't translate well, particularly when you're scoping on weapons. That should be a 2-dimensional experience, not a 3-dimensional experience. So my concern is in Star Citizen is how will that 3D experience interfere with looking at things at distance, looking at ships in the distance? Yeah. How will my crosshairs be 3-dimensional? Will they be 2-dimensional? Will they transition between the what is it, the y-axis or x z
like
axis?
How good your depth perception would be in a 3D environment in space where there's no, there's a backdrop, but it's stars and a distant nebula and stuff like that. But when there's really nothing close to you other than your target, you're right. I wonder how good depth perception would be with 3D.
I know one of the things is that. Oh, I was just going to. The one thing that I know that they were talking about when they were showing the dogfighting module, when they showed, or because they couldn't make the launch date, they were talking about in one of the shows around that time that they're going to be doing the HUD with 3D in mind to break that up. So as far as how they're going to implement like a nebula in your example, I think they're going to be bringing that in from the ground up in development as a primary focus, instead of a lot of games like it's an afterthought, such as WoW, where it got added later.
Well, honestly, I think WoW actually has done it better than most, and it could just be just the style of that game. But you're exactly right. 3D tends to be an afterthought in a lot of games, particularly shooters, and and it comes down to me the targeting reticule. It doesn't. If you're looking at something close to you, the reticle has to be closer to you than when you're looking at something further away. You kind of get reticle jump, and distance, and that's a very unnatural. It's harsh on your eyes. It's a very unnatural experience. And I mean, there are some games that have done a better job with it than others, but it's always has felt very much like a value added. We can, so we're going to, but we've never designed it for that purpose from jump. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Oculus handles shooters. I haven't personally experienced it to say, oh, it does a great job. These are all just crazy. You don't have to worry about it. But it'll be interesting. Have any of you guys done anything with 3D gaming, and what your thoughts on it have been?
I haven't, I haven't owned anything like that. But I mean, I have a friend of mine who's got a nice 3D setup, and I've gone over and I've tried it out, and I'm actually one of those gamers, especially coming from like a shooter background, where I don't like all the extra stuff. Like, I don't like the snow falling, and I don't like the dust clouds flying up, because it makes it harder to see my target,
The lens bloom and all
exactly.
that fun stuff.
The Michael Bay, explosions, lens flare and crap like that. And so when I'm playing a game competitively, I want nothing to do with 3D. But if I'm playing, I could see myself using 3D in like an MMO or something like that, but I get too competitive, and anything that gets in my way or keeps me from seeing my target well is a no-go for me.
Yeah.
For me, I've never looked into 3D just because I have a lot of considerations that I need to be wary of. Like, I get migraines very easily from 3D movies. And if that's going to dampen my experience, I want to try it before I buy it. So I've never had that option, but I don't think the Oculus Rift is going to be in that same boat. And I'm very interested to try it, because it's not doing 3D. It's doing it. Granted, it's doing 2 pictures on the screen, but that's just for your eyes for the depth.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I mean, basically, there's 3 forms of 3D, and they're going to be more, and I know there are, but the 3 major forms that people have is they have the passive, and the way it's been done on computer monitors like LG, with their Cinema 3D, is they chop your resolution in half, and one eye is seeing every other line or one half of the screen, and the other lens is tinted in such a way or polarized in such a way that it's seeing the other half. So you get a 1080p game and essentially half that resolution, or a quarter, however you want to do your math, but half of the screen. So you lose the high fidelity crisp text, you lose a lot of the textures from it, which right there is a no-go. For me, it's a lot more difficult. Movies, it's not as bad because you don't need that pixel perfect accuracy, but in gaming, it's very difficult. So that, for me, no-go.
I mean, especially if you have a really high, like a big monitor too. I mean, if you're doing 1080p on a big monitor and you're cutting in half
physically
like that,
you physically will see, if you've got good sight, you will physically see black lines and then your vision line, and it can become very, and for someone as well who suffers from headaches and migraines and other brain issues, it hurts after a while. You do lose something from it. The second technology that's really popular, and it's the technology that NVIDIA uses, is the active shutter technology. So you have a screen that refreshes at 120 hertz, so 120 frames per second or higher. There's 240 and 160. You half your refresh rate, and every other frame you're showing a different image. And the glasses, when it's showing, the left eye image, the right glass is black. When it's showing the right image, it's the shutters are going on and off, alternatingly. And you do get, particularly at 120 hertz, and it gets a little bit better as you go higher up in the spectrum, but it becomes very disorienting after a while. And you can adapt to it over time. I made a purpose when I was playing, I think, WoW with it, that I was going to do 2 hours every time I was playing. If I was doing an extended play session, after 2 hours I'd take it off, and it becomes less noticeable. But if you're having one kind of like a twinge, or I feel like I'm going to get a headache, take that shit off, because those 3D headaches are intense. And then I
imagine that technology would be better than every other line. But I mean, just of course, that's not the version of 3D that I've seen or used, but just hearing you explain that, I think I would have some sort of epileptic fit.
Well, I mean, the concept behind it is most standard LED and LCD monitors are 60 hertz. So you're only seeing 60 frames per second. I don't care if you can see your video card can do 240 frames per second or not. You are only physically seeing 60 frames. That is all your visual output device can output. The theory is, okay, well, since everyone's used to 60 hertz, we can just cut it in half at 120, so each eye is seeing 60 hertz. But what's not being compensated for is you're not seeing 60 hertz in each eye. You're seeing 120 hertz with a break every other frame.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, you get this. I don't know any other way to do it, but just like this, it's like you're getting on off, just really fast, and your brain's going, "What the hell's happening?"
Right, that's exactly what you're getting, and it can become distracting. The third technology, which is on the Nintendo 3DS, is lenticular displays. The best way to describe it are those from when we were kids, and they still have them now. Those things that you would hold, kind of turn, and the image would appear 3D. Because it's got little breaks in it. I think they've got like a coating on it that allows the light to kind of bounce off in different directions. And, of course, I'm sure someone will find it, but I don't know of a display that accurately does that for PC gaming. I'm sure someone will say, well, in Korea, you can get the Chu'vong that does that. But there's no mainstream, version of it.
That's also the worst of the three offerings, too.
I think so.
Have, what I've heard as far as 3DS owners, when that went mainstream, they turned that feature off just because it gave them too many headaches. Even people who could watch 3D movies, they didn't have as good of experience with it.
So it's just the way they draw the texture? Is that
no? There's I almost want to, and I'm going to be so wrong on this. Forgive me, but it's almost like they have a pyramid on every other line. There's a pyramid.
Pixel or something.
Yeah. Like you have 2 pixels, and in between those 2 pixels is the peak of the pyramid, and at the edge of those 2 pixels, it goes down. So it's bouncing. The light is being channeled in opposing directions. So when it hits your eye, it's the problem with this. You have to be at a very specific angle, and it has to be at a very specific distance.
You can't, do this kind of crap, and because it's a handheld thing, right? So
exactly.
You've got to constantly.
Which is terrible because we've all become so adapted, console players, with the Wii, the Wii U, the PS3, and the Xbox One, and the PS4, of turning your damn controller when you want, like playing Mario Kart DS. You're turning you're turning your damn controller, and then your screen goes cattywampus on you. So. Yep. I mean, it's great because it is classed as 3D, and I know that some modern televisions, particularly in the last 2 years, have started to adapt this technology in a much more sophisticated form. But I really think that the Oculus Rift is going to be the way to go, because all of those technologies, in one way or another, you're getting half of something. You're either getting half of your refresh rate, or your one eye is only seeing half of the screen. And with the Oculus Rift, you have an independent display for each eye, running at its full tilt, and I think that that's really why people who are using this aren't having or having less of the 3D headaches. They're feeling more immersed in the experience.
That, and you lose your peripheral vision,
right?
So the only thing you can see is that. So maybe that'll eliminate some of the problem.
Yeah. So I'm very excited to see. I personally don't know if Robert Space Industry is going to do, or excuse me, CIG is going to do any of the other 3D technologies other than Oculus Rift. I know that it's relatively easy to implement based upon, NVIDIA will throw shit tons of money at you to say, hey, we'll code it for you if you need us to, but put 3D in your game. And a lot of the console ports, because of, the consoles now do 3D, they're already set for, left side, right side, or top, bottom 3D. So if you have, a 3D monitor like the LG Cinemas that have 3D, it's very easy to switch to the 3D mode by doing that. I don't know if they're going to do anything like that. I doubt it, but they probably have already said on some posts that they are. But to me, it's just, I think that the Rift, and until I test it, but I think that the Rift is probably going to be the ultimate 3D experience.
And you're actually kind of lucky that you got yours. And if they actually have, if you got your little receipt and said, yeah, hey, we're processing your order and we're shipping it to you, you're lucky. I was actually reading some articles on Slashdot and Reddit Yeah, part shortages, or like manufacturers just said, "Oh yeah, that part you need for your Oculus, yeah, we don't make that anymore." So they're having to find replacement parts and having to redesign some of the parts or how they manufacture the Oculus Rift. So
Right.
there might be a time in the next, I don't know how long it's going to take them to fix that, you know?
But that's also the development model too. That's not the consumer one. That's
True.
not
Right.
what they're going to market with. So
Right.
those kind
I
of
mean-
hiccups are gonna happen. But
Yeah. Right now, an Oculus Rift will, for me, and even at the best iteration that's available, will not be the primary device. Will not be the go live. This is going to be the device
Yeah.
I'm going to use. The resolution's just too low. I mean, they're using very small displays, and at that size, it's just very difficult to achieve, 1080p for each eye resolutions, and to do it cost effectively and to keep the thing under $1,000 or under 500 like it currently is. So I think as we get closer to Star Citizen, being a year or so out, the technology will be a little bit cheaper. And then a year or two after that, I think it won't be too far off to get 1080p per eye in the Oculus device.
that's what the consumer model is going to have is 1080p
Yeah.
Per
And they
eye,
were
or is it
actually
going to be
talk-
split?
Yeah, per eye.
Okay,
Per eye.
good.
And they were also talking about a 4K model coming out in 2015, 2016 for
That's
the Oculus. They were
that's unreal.
looking at it.
I just
Yeah,
don't know how
they-
they're going to do it. The display density is, unless the screens are really
Insane.
far out. The display density, it just
It'll
the
weigh
pixel
like
density-
30 pounds, and you'll have to do neck workouts to be able to hold the thing on your head. But
Yeah, they have little DLP projectors in the back broadcasting. I just right
wearing
now
a
it just
plasma display on my face.
so I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to get mine in, and as soon as I get some in, I'll try to post as much as I can about it, and as we get further in, we'll go from there. The second major announcement, this is probably where we're going to kill it for our announcements, but the second major announcement was the Mustang. Bobby, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
All right, so there's been some concept art released for the Mustang, and I have to say, it looks pretty mean. It looks pretty good. Matter of fact, I really want to see a Mustang fight a Scythe. Just saying. Anyway, but they've talked about the Mustang and how they're going to be. Well, actually, they put a poll up to figure out kind of how they want to release it. With the dogfighting module coming out soon, they kind of, and with them trying to get the CryEngine back end into the game, they've asked the community, hey, do you want to buy the Mustang now, and just kind of have it, in your list of ships, or do you want to wait until we can put it in the new engine? And the poll is like the closest poll I've ever seen ever.
The presidential races have.
Exactly. It's starting to kind of skew one way, but for the longest time, it was just like 50-50. People wanted to wait or people wanted it immediately. Frankly, to me, there's no huge difference because, if you have it, you're going to have it when it comes out. But I guess it's just I don't know. It's like it's a thing that's not important, but they want to know about it. I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
It's cool that they're asking the community what the community thinks about it. But from my point of view, I have way more ships purchased that aren't in my hangar than are in my hangar.
There you go. So it's like no difference, right?
What's the matter? What's the matter to me? So
one more empty parking lot section in your hangar.
I say way more. It's probably about 50-50, but I have a lot of ships purchased that I can't see in my hangar, but I can log in on the website and see them. And why not? Why not just go ahead and put it up for sale, give people the opportunity? But I guess everyone's a little bit different on that. I personally say put it up. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, I personally felt that it should just go up. I mean, we already know what it looks like. The only thing I would have been iffy on is if they released it for sale without giving us the specs first. That was my only concern. But if they were throwing the specs out there,
but we've seen that ship specs really don't necessarily mean anything. They've been changed.
That's true.
I don't know. One of the cool things that they are doing is they are allowing you to swap out Auroras that you have purchased in the past for the Mustang. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's going to be one variant at launch whenever they decide to put this on the cell. There'll be one variant, and it will equal trade for the base level constellation. So if you have a base level constellation with LTI, they have said that if you trade that base level LTI in, you're going to get an LTI coin token essentially that will allow you to purchase a Mustang with LTI. Now, the question was asked, I believe, on the last Wingman's Hangar, well, how are you going to handle it if you have the LX or the LN? They said
you're talking about the Aurora.
Yeah,
the
is that what I said? What did I
You
say?
said Connie.
Connie,
I was like, the constellation.
I'm
what?
so sorry. In my mind, I was, we know what it is. It's because they changed some of the stuff on the Connie, and I'm like excited about it because some of the sizing is different, and that's what I really want to see because I still can't see my Connie. But anyway, so going back to, so you're going to be able to change your Aurora in and get it. So you get the LTI token, you can buy a Mustang, apply your LTI token for it. If you have one of the iterations of or one of the versions of the Aurora that are above base, they will allow you to melt it. They'll give you the cash difference, in theory, $10, $5, whatever it is, and you'll then be able to buy the Mustang, apply your token to it, and you'll have $5 or $10 in your account there to purchase more ships or things in the future.
This changes things for me because I
Does
have
it?
the Legionnaire. Yeah, I've got the LN with LTI, and now that I know that, I think I'll just hold on to my Aurora. See, I was gonna swap to the Mustang because
Well,
I got the Aurora for cargo, but I've got a freelancer now, so I've got the Aurora LN. So I upgraded to the Legionnaire so I could have a little ship that's got some punch to it, But now they've got this Mustang which just looks badass. It looks more like a fighter than the Aurora.
Very aggressive.
Yeah, and I was gonna make that swap, but here's the thing: it's the base ship or one of the base ships. It's not gonna cost a lot when the game comes out. Yeah. So I may just kind of stick with the Aurora and just buy one in game when the game releases.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am gonna. I've got 3 or 4 Auroras under my fleet. I'm definitely gonna be swapping out my base level Aurora for a base level Mustang, just so I can have LTI on it. And I don't know why I care about LTI, but it's that back of the mind. I need to have LTI on something, so I think I will do that. But as far as bulk purchasing, I don't see myself doing that. Brandon, are you interested in the Mustang?
I like the Mustang just because it feels like it has, like you guys already said, it's got more teeth to it. So
Right.
I feel like it'd be able to get thrown in a firefight a little bit easier at that starting level. I think that'll be easier for those who are looking to, make a name for themselves as a bounty hunter or something like that. That'd be a great way for them to start. So
The broke-ass bounty hunter.
Yeah. Hey, Han Solo didn't start off in the Millennium Falcon, so
Hey, good call, man.
One of the things.
One
of the things that I'm noticing, and we really don't have a lot of specs on it, or do we? I mean, do we have any really at all on
Nothing
as far?
yet.
I mean, we know generally about its size and its shape, and kind of what it's going to look like. But I think, to me, I mean, yeah, we're all saying it looks aggressive, but I think it's just the weapons loadout that makes it look aggressive. That they're, the Connie kind of has them on its X-wing little factors, and some of them have the thing on the top. But I don't think it's going to have that many more weapon ports that might, speculation, that are going to make it more powerful than, let's say, an Aurora. To me, it looks like this thing is going to be fast, more than just aggressive. It looks like it's got
small,
speed.
yeah.
It looks like it's got some real,
Well, the selling point on the Mustang, when you look at it, there's 2 guns on either side, mini guns, and then you also have the turret underneath the cockpit. And on the Aurora, you have just those straight directional guns that are like, I think, level 2.
Oh, okay.
And I think
the LN's got 4.
Yeah.
But they're directional.
So I think...
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think in this regard, that's what gives it that look of being tougher than the base Aurora because it's got those miniguns on the side.
This is
So
true. I mean,
just
hell, you
show
can make a Freelancer look tough when you put all the big guns on it. It's a cargo ship, so
Yeah.
I keep seeing the concept art, and I've been pulling it up on the video stream. The more I see this concept art, the more I just want to throw more money at my computer screen to make it come out that much quicker. I mean, we kid, but we were looking at the concept art, back when they showed us what the bounty hunter was looking like, and the quality jump from that to the screen I just showed, which is, you get the full rivalry of it, and it's firing weapons, and it's got one on its ass. It's like, holy crap, even the concept art is getting so good. It's, oh, man, I can't wait for this game. It's going to be so much fun.
gosh,
Yep.
there's only like a month and a half until PAX. I mean, it's like we might be able to play some of this thing soon.
Yeah, they did say that they are testing internally on the servers across across different offices. The dogfighting stuff. They keep pushing out some more Hangar module stuff, which leads you to believe that as they're pushing out more things that they're getting things a little bit closer to launch. The patcher's been updated. There's a lot of stuff. You can start to see that foundation being laid in place for the DFM coming out really quick. But as far as us, as far as what our plans are, we're going to be taking this is our final episode of season 2. We're going to be taking a break. We have a couple projects outside of the show that are going to take up about a month of our time, that are going to prevent us from doing next 2 weeks show, whatever, our next show that will prevent us from doing that. That doesn't mean we're going to stop content though. Bobby and I have a couple different trips planned, and if opportunities arise for things, then we will utilize those opportunities. And if those opportunities arise in such a way that allow us to have good Star Citizen content, then we're going to have good Star Citizen content. So if by some odd chance, though, this feed doesn't get updated for a month, probably until April, don't freak out. We're still here. We're just taking our spring break, just like we took our summer, or into fall break. We're taking our spring break. So I'm most definitely, during that time, will have received my Oculus Rift. I'll maybe just do a 5 or 10 minute, example of what's going on with the Oculus Rift. If something happens when we're in Austin or other areas, maybe we'll do something there too. So don't unsubscribe. We're going to be there. So, but for sure, absolutely, season 3 will start in April, and it will probably be the second full week in April that season 3 will be coming out. And as always, as we do season premieres, we'll try to have as much good content as we can. It allows us to get some good news and kind of have a big mega episode. Can't promise an interview, but maybe an interview. And I want to put this out on the table again for everybody. I'm going to put up the address now on the screen. I did get a few envelopes with people requesting some Star Citizen stickers. I still have a ton, so go ahead and send them to that address there. For those on the audio, I'm going to say this once and once only because it is a nightmare. PNB 205. Let me look at my thing here. PNB 205. And that's 3195 Dowlin Road, Suite 101, Beaumont, Texas, 77706. United States of America, for those of you who are shipping international.
And that's Earth for you Star Citizens out there.
That is Earth. Third planet in the Sol system. So anyway, so be sure to send that stuff in. The address is down, and I will be more than happy to get those stickers out to you. During our premiere episode, we're gonna try to do some really fun stuff for season 3, and I want to talk. I'm also opening up the invitation for anyone out there who does Star Citizen fan content, whether it's a podcast, writing or anything like that. We want to welcome you to join us on our show. If you have done something cool, the soundtrack project that was done earlier or later last year, and I think it got revamped and featured again. Or a different project got featured again. that's the kind of stuff that we'd like to talk about. We speculate a lot. We cover the news as much as we can, but this isn't the whole truth. This isn't just us repeating press reports and specs. This is speculation and conversation. So if you want to join us in that, we definitely welcome you to do that. And the best way to do that is to contact us in the comments on YouTube, which of course you all should be commenting and subscribing to our videos if you haven't done so. Our email address, which is show@beacon147.net, right?
Yep.
So make sure you get those emails in if you're at all interested, in joining us. If you want to do some fan-made content, we will absolutely feature that. So we're here for you guys, and that is all I have for today.
Awesome.
Bobby, Brandon?
Good.
I'm good.
All right, guys. Well, join us again next season. Thank you for sticking with us throughout the season, and we hope to see you guys sometime in April.
In the
All
verse.
right.